What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the KCSN Defensive Film Room, brought to you by the Derrick Johnson Defend the Dream Foundation. If you love what we're doing here every single week, as much as we love getting to talk to DJ, you need to go down into the comments right down here, look for the link, click it, donate, and come back here. We'll wait. Pause us. We'll wait. You go donate, come back here, and we'll walk you through the rest of this. We really appreciate that we get to work with DJ. We really appreciate that we get to donate to his foundation. So please, please, please go do that. My name is Craig Stout. I'm with two defensive legends here, Mike DeVito, Derrick Johnson. Guys, we've made it through the regular season. A Week 18 game occurred, the first one in Chiefs history in the regular season, and it was a little bit sloppy. And it was a little bit sloppy kind of because of the field, kind of because of maybe not the stakes weren't super high for one of these teams, more for pride and putting stuff on tape, which is still important, but not in the grand scheme of things. DJ, let's start with you. How did you feel like the game went? And how did you have you ever played on a surface like that where it just seems like you can't really cut, you can't really move as well? And does that kind of sit in the back of your mind while you're running around there and playing?
You know what? It definitely happens at times, and it sucks for football players because when you're out there, that's the last thing you want to be thinking about is your footing and what kind of cleats. Or you have 3/4 cleats or half cleats, and just molded ones or steels or whichever cleats you have on. But you gotta that plays a part in making plays and being able to check that out before the game. But yeah. On Sunday, it was a little sloppy here and there. The field didn't look like it was that good in shape. But I tell you what, it's all about winning. Keep winning, and the Chiefs did a great job when it comes to just pulling out a win. I mean, we really didn't have a bunch of crazy big plays, but I tell you what, when Ingram hit that guy, man, it just kind of let you know, like, hey. This is, we're the Chiefs, we're the big dogs, and we haven't lost. I mean, I don't think Pat Mahomes has lost on a way like the division road win. I mean, his record is perfect. That's unbelievable, by the way. I mean, when you talk about division opponents, it's always hard to win those games regardless of the record. But when you talk about going on the road, I mean, he's perfect, man. So he just kept that streak going. So it was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, Mike, when you're in the trenches, and once again, go back to this, getting footing is so important for you guys, especially being able to anchor, being able to plant and move, because that's where all that, the highlight is, guys out in space that are slipping and things like that. But you guys have a lot of trouble, kind of gaining traction as well. Does that just make things so much more difficult, especially in a game where you're playing not to get hurt? A Week 18 game that doesn't have a whole lot of stakes, you're really playing not to get hurt.
Yeah, it's tough. It is tough. A couple different types of fields that I hated. One was whenever we were playing on a field where the team had a baseball team as well. Oh. So you had the infield, the Oakland used to have that. That's terrible. Any team that had just put down new field turf, so the beads are all at the top still, the rubber hasn't settled. That is really slippery. I always hated playing on those fields. And then, like we saw, in Denver, just the sloppy, nasty, it's hard to get. You have to, as a defensive lineman, I feel worse for DJ and for guys on the outside who actually have to, run long distances, so every step matters. Up front, you really have to, the offensive line is in the same predicament, so it kind of evens things out. You have to get your feet more up under you. You can't fire off the ball like you'd like to. You have to catch more. But at the same time, again, the offensive line is dealing with the same thing, so they're not firing out as hard as they could. So I think as much as I couldn't stand it, I always felt bad, for the guys like DJ who had to run side to side all over the place, because that really is a pain in the butt.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to the tape here. And we're going to start with the very first defensive play of the game. And we're going to see the Chiefs are in an underfront. Willie Gay Jr. walked up on the line of scrimmage, and he's bringing it, right off the snap here. The Chiefs ran a lot of these run blitzes. This ends up being a pass play, so it kind of converts into, a blitz. Does a good job getting his hands up here. Want to really highlight the way that Willie Gay Jr. and Anthony Hitchens pass off this running back coming out of the backfield, eliminates the ability to have a quick throw here. And then Willie Gay Jr. doing a good job getting his hands up on this play. It's just a good combination play on something that Denver clearly designed to try and get the ball out quick to the flat, take advantage of guys having to pass some stuff off.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is a great design play by Denver on the first play of the game. Get you a little misdirection, get you some play action in here. Just because, at the beginning of the game, people may not be on their stuff, but the Chiefs were on everything. I mean, they passed off all kind of just the play action with the guy coming out of the backfield. But I tell you what, Willie Gay he's just physically, he's just very, very gifted. And a lot of people can't make these plays right here. You may say, oh, man, he's just knocking the ball down. It takes a lot of speed to get on this guy and then to get up at the right time and time it out to hit this ball. I mean, defensive linemen do it at times, not in space like this. Right. But it's a great play to start the football game.
Yeah, I mean, just to piggyback on what DJ's saying, I mean, 50 plays it perfectly as far as, closing the distance to the quarterback so he's not slowing down, but at the same time, he gets his hands up and obviously creates the play. But if the QB were to hold onto that ball, he's still pursuing where his momentum is still going forward, right? So that's the tension that you deal with as a lineman in this position is, okay, do I jump? Do I stop? Do I keep running? So he gets the best of both worlds here where he gets his hands up, but at the same time, he's still moving forward full speed. So if that quarterback pulls it, he's right there on him.
Yeah. Terrific rush pathing off of the edge there. Now we're going to see another one here. Once again, you're going to see Broncos are in heavy personnel. They ran a lot of 12 and 13 personnel, lots of 2 tight end, 3 tight end sets coming into this game. They were dealing with some injuries, so it made sense that they were going to lean on their tight ends a little bit. And you're actually going to see Willie Gay Jr. aggressively fill downhill here, take on the center, get that leverage, that outside shoulder, and shut this gap and kind of help build the wall up front. So 2 plays. This is almost back-to-back here, 2 plays of Willie Gay Jr. just playing ridiculously well, playing complementary football, working off of his defensive line there. Great job by the young linebacker.
Yeah, absolutely. When you talk about building a wall, that's just how you stop the run. When the inside backers are in sync with the outside guys setting the edge, and the guys up front playing tough in the middle of the defense, and the linebackers are there to fill the hole. And I tell you what, man, if nobody pulls, you talking. This is old school football right here. Me and Mike know a lot about this when it comes to 13 and 12 personnel. If nobody pulls, everybody just get the gap. This is easy ball right here. This is are you better than I am? Who's going to win their matchup? And right here, Willie Gay Jr. is clearly a little bit better than they are.
Right. Yeah, this is what Rex Ryan used to call double chin strap play. I mean, this is just mano-a-mano. I just got to say, you don't know how much a linebacker playing like that helps us up front when it comes to these double teams, because right now these linemen are saying, hey, we can't stay on these blocks, these double teams too long because the backers are flying downhill. And so it really helps us out. It's really difficult when you have linebackers that are staying back there and not pushing up on the line of scrimmage, because now that the linemen are talking, they know they can stay on you all day because they don't have to get up. Right now they're saying, hey, you look, that frees up Chris right in there with 50 running in the middle there. So this is just the way they're working together up front is picture perfect, and they're helping each other out. And so,
Mike, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, now we're coached to do this. It's just what Willie Gay Jr. is doing. Chris Jones gets a double team, and he holds up, and he holds on until we show up. Can you physically feel that pressure way off of you as you come to that double team?
Oh, yeah.
And we come up? Can you feel that? Oh, okay, somebody's there.
Oh, yes. It's because you're at this point, you're getting ready to anchor down, right?
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, you have a soft shoulder. So you're like, oh, okay. And I mean, this was all the time with you. Like, I never had to worry about a double team staying on long because you did this constantly. I mean, you knew exactly when to do this, which is what's hard. And it's nice to see a young guy, you have to know when to take these shots. And obviously 50 is getting there, but DJ, you were able to do this all. I mean, you knew what was going on. So you were doing this constantly.
Yeah. And sometimes they would stay on them too long. And don't get me wrong, Mike and those guys would be like, man, this double team's on me. But I'm like, I'm in the backfield.
Yeah,
so
all day.
Hold on.
I'll take that all day. As long as if you're in the backfield, I'll take as many guys as you want. Let's go. You know what I mean? As long as DJ's in the backfield. And that's how it played out. I can't tell you how many times I'd be engaged in the double team and I'm looking and watching you make a play 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
It's that sort of stuff. I like hearing that you can feel that pressure kind of come off of there. That's a great point, DJ. All right. Chiefs ran a lot of run blitzes. They've kind of picked and choose their points throughout the year, but this game they seem to feature a lot more of them. You're going to see both. They're in once again their base defense here. You've got 12 personnel, but you're going to see Anthony Hitchens and Nick Bolton right off the snap here, aggressively filling downhill. I want to ask, because we've talked about from a pass perspective, and we've talked about pass rush lanes and things like that. We've not really talked about from a run blitzing perspective how difficult that is. You guys have talked about filling your lanes, making sure you stay where you need to be. In the run game, you've got offensive linemen that are moving laterally downhill, moving a lot more than maybe a traditional pass set. How difficult is it, both from a defensive line and a linebacker perspective, to try and keep track of those gaps when you are in a run blitz, something like that, because you got to still keep integrity? So how tough is that all around the front to make sure you stay sound with a moving target essentially on the offensive line?
Yeah, it depends. For a defensive lineman, it depends on what your technique is. So we'll have run blitzes where you don't have to stunt or move or jam or do anything like that. And so you're basically playing, you're just playing your technique. Where things get difficult, and I think we saw a couple good clips a few weeks ago of these guys in run blitzes where they have to jam, right? So you have to take a step inside, you have to take a step outside. Being able to take a step and then redirect and play what the offensive line, how that's unfolded in front of you, that's difficult. When you're playing in this, it looks like these guys are just sort of playing their gaps and they're doing a good job of it. That's not as bad.
Gotcha. DJ, from a linebacker perspective, filling behind that stuff, behind that moving target, is that tough?
It's very tough. It's very tough. But our eyes as linebackers are a lot better than defensive linemen. No offense, Mike. Because we have time. We have time. We're behind the line of scrimmage. So things we see better. We see better. Like safeties, they see better than us because they're a little farther back. But I tell you what, because things do happen fast for inside backers up there, but it's a lot of moving parts, and it's hard, especially when you get to linemen moving. You got to know where your gap is and what the offensive linemen do. If they were to reach or if they were to do certain stuff, you have to know where your gap is going to go, especially if they pull. I mean, it can get complicated really fast. It's all about reps, though. If sometimes young players mess up their integrity of their gap at times, but I tell you what, this play right here, and Mike, you already know who made this play, right? Mike, it's 98. It's freaking 98.
Cheeky grab right there, man.
Right now. I mean, if you can grab that, I mean, that's gold. That's like, and I know that as a player, as Hitchens, as he goes back there, when he gets up off the ground, I'm saying, hey, great job, keep doing that. Now you got to be smart with that bit of a tug that he's doing. You got to stay within there because you don't want to get way out here extended. Then they're going to call holding on you. But that's little tricks of the trade that you can do as a defensive lineman because they're putting two people on you. So make them stay on there, and then it's going to be hard for him to come off, especially when Hitchens comes downhill and get up and in like he did.
Yeah, I mean, again, they're just playing very well in sync together. They're for a young group, they recognize what's important and how to help each other out. I mean, as a defensive lineman, for me, this I can sleep with that all day. I mean, that just feels so good when I'll take that over a TFL, a sack any day, knowing that I took those two guys up and allowed my guys to go out there and make plays.
That's why I love Mike. That's why I am who I. That's why I had all those tackles. All those big plays. I had guys like that in front of me. I tell them all the time, man. You got to have some unselfish guys in front of you. Not that I'm selfish, but I mean, I'm more athletic and hit and missile. I'm sideline to sideline, and know your strengths. So
right. No, that's it. No, you're exactly right, DJ. And you made it. I mean, you made it easy for us. Jeez, and Crow, you didn't need us at all. But it's easy to say, hey, I'm going to go. It's even easier to say, I'm going to go ahead and do this because I know DJ going to make a play. Where it's like, if that gap could open up and I could be in a track stance and I couldn't get there faster than you could coming down. It just ain't happening, So, but yeah, no, that's a great job by them up front. Again, for a young unit working together really well.
Yeah, and this is just yet another play. You've got another run blitz here. Tyrann Mathieu coming off the edge. Wanted to highlight how often these guys were aggressively filling downhill. We just got done talking about Spagnuolo and the focus on him on 3rd and 27 and the aggressive nature of that. This is part of it. This is what you live with Spags. Because of these sorts of plays, these negative plays that happen aggressively filling downhill, you have to be able to, if you like this, you have to like some of the other aggressive tendencies that he's got as well. Another run blitz here. Tyrann Mathieu coming off the edge. Good job filling by the guys up front. Just another good play here.
Yeah. I want to point out two things. Tyrann Mathieu, for him to come down and come with a lot of speed, which this is hard to do at times. Make sure it's not a bootleg or a play action or anything. Make sure he gives the ball off and then go help because nobody's blocking him. But then I want you to look at Nick Bolton. You talk about a guy that's young and has great eyes right here. And I tell people this all the time. For inside backers, our eyes has to be just like the running back because we have to see what they see. When we can see what they see, we can match up. We can meet in the middle, and that's good eyes for us. You know what I mean? But if you got bad eyes and you don't have good footwork and you don't stay square to stay alive, you're not going to meet the running back and see what he's seeing because the running back he's seeing color, and then he goes downhill. He's letting everything wash out. And as for a linebacker, for Nick, he's doing the same thing. He kind of has this A gap going a little bit, and then he sees it get muddled up. He comes back, man. This is perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks good up front. I mean, you see 95, obviously Chris Jones, and 97 out there at the wide 9, the 3 technique wide line. They set the front side, so there's nowhere to go. And then backside, again, this goes to the point I was talking about before. I think they're jam stepping inside right here because you have a blitz on the outside, and yet watch the way who's the nose there?
That's Noddy, 91.
Noddy. Look at the way he steps, but then gets right upfield into his guy, right? He doesn't go too far down the line, right? Some guys have a tendency to go too flat down the line. He has, he takes a step, but he gets going forward. He's not washed out of there, and he helps to seal, continue to close that gap right there. So there's really nowhere to go.
That's so big. That's huge, man. That's a little thing, but what that does is if Noddy goes all the way across, now Nick is like, oh man,
right.
I got a big boy tackle I got to make now.
Right,
he's right there. Space, especially if Tyrann Mathieu doesn't close the way he closes. If he gets a little wider, now that's a big hole.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah, great job by the front there. Now we talked about run blitzing. You guys have talked about before gap integrity, and this goes all the way to the 3rd level. This is an explosive run. It ends up being a touchdown for Melvin Gordon here. Once again, coming on a run blitz here. And what ends up happening is a less aggressive fill by the safety. Doesn't allow for the front to be whole here. And it's a great play. They work away from the YY, the 12 personnel, and that counter footwork allows Melvin Gordon to get through here. It's a great play by the offense, but this is some of the risk of what happens when you're aggressively filling downhill the way that these guys are. it makes it to where some stuff can open up backside. And so you've got to rely on these guys coming from the third level to help make you right. And unfortunately on this play, they just weren't able to.
Yeah. It's, we've seen this before. Everybody was perfect on this play, but one person. And, and that's just how defense is. If everybody doesn't have that gap, then you're going to give up something big. And he's a DB. I get it, coming down inside the box. He's usually boxing. So he's kind of thinking, oh, man, this guy's about to get outside. But you have to trust everybody around you. You got somebody set the edge over there. Let him set the edge. You go fill your B gap. And, man, this is unfortunate. This is a play that Spags is probably saying, guys, everybody's right. We just need one guy. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it now, DJ, remind me, I feel like during 9-on-7, the times we would bring the DBs in to practice these run fits with us. Do you remember doing that?
That is correct. Yes. That's very important for them to come in. Yep.
Because this is hard. I mean, this is, like you said, this is something he's probably not used to being down and, trying to read, where he needs to fill in a run situation. But you're right. I mean, it's perfect. It's right there. It's an obvious, get that B gap. But up front, it looks good. I mean, it's so funny. Look at Chris Jones. Like, he's got a double team, and it's like he's not like, he didn't fire off the ball hard. He's just sort of, and it's still, they can't move him. Like, if I would have stood up and caught that, I would have been like he did. I would have been 10 yards off the ball. I mean, you could just see, like, you just can't do anything. Even when he's not trying, you can't do anything to him. But everybody in the right spot. This is just one guy who's probably not used to being down there that often.
Yeah, and gets a little wide, not a lot. Yeah. He got a little overset because he thought he was breaking outside, and just, man, when you're inside, you're an inside backer, and you just got to feel that A gap. Boom.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough on some of those, and that's kind of why I wanted to highlight the fact that they were run blitzing so much. That's just one of those that, like, you get beat sometimes when you're sending the house. That's just one of those. All right, now we're going to talk a little bit. We praise Chris Jones a lot. Mike, you said last week, 9 out of 10 times Chris Jones, is in the right spot. Unfortunately, Chris Jones was looking for a payday, and I get it. $1.25 million, and so this is a 3rd and 3 situation where Chris Jones trying to make something happen. Unfortunately, gets a little too high and is able to cut underneath here. It does not happen often. But this is, and I just wanted to highlight because we do talk about it a lot. This is one of those where sometimes, even with the athleticism that Chris Jones has and as great of a player as he is, and get caught out sometimes trying to do stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's, this is why Chris Jones is such a better fit for Spags' defense than Bob Sutton's. So Bob Sutton's defense and Rex Ryan's defense, those guys up front, you have to play technically sound. It's gonna screw everything. In this defense, like we talked about, 9 out of 10 times, this is fine. 1, because he just has the ability to do it. 2, because it really is a explosive, get up the field 100-mile-an-hour thing. Now, in this situation, when you have, even though it's a near gun, you're away from the back. You got to expect run coming to you. It's kind of weird to run to the tight end side here. So as a 3 technique backside, you got to expect, hey, if they're going to run, they're going to run this way. And so I would have been a little bit, I wouldn't have tried to do it at all, but he could have, just paying attention to the formation might have slowed him down a little bit to say, okay, I could get this run to me. Let me just play this straight up. Because, right here, if he just locks out, it's done. If he just engages into his man, locks out, that's done. But there's a reason you pay this guy $100 million.
Right.
Because he's a stud. So
and he's
don't slow him down. Don't slow him down.
Yeah. So that's just like a lot of times you say as a quarterback, I'm relating this to Pat Mahomes, you don't throw across your body. You're on this side of the field. Right. Don't throw across your body. He does it all the time and has great success. Now, there are times where you say, oh, he did it and it got intercepted or something bad happened. So this is this example right here. But just like Mike just said, when the back is in a near gun, belly opens comes. That's just what they do. Belly open. And now okay, I'm the stopper over here. I'm the stopper. All I got to do, make sure I'm not playing pass, because, at times he does a swim move really good at times, but sometimes you got to, lock out, see if it's run, and then transition to pass if it's pass. But here, this gets you beat right here just because you're upfield and there's no edge right there. So Nick has to hold on right there, and then he has to play a gap that's 10 yards long. It's hard.
That's tough.
It's hard.
That's tough.
Now this is a beat of play. I'll say next play, I'll be like, hey Chris, you got to stay in there, buddy. You got to stay in there for me. Come on.
Right.
Yeah. And again, that's a very apt point, that Patrick Mahomes comparison. It's like you don't want to change it. You don't. You live with this on occasion. I just wanted to highlight it since we've been talking about it so much and how it can get caught out. It did on this particular one. All right, this is the last negative play that I'm gonna talk about before we get into some of the stuff here at the end of the game. But something that cropped up a couple of times. Drew Lock, not known as a running quarterback by any means, was able to kind of gash the Chiefs when they were in man coverage against the 4-man rush. You're going to see a mesh concept out of the Broncos here. Both linebackers do a good job taking their men. They really do pass this off very well. The rush lane integrity is just a little bit lacking on the middle here, and it's just a little too easy because now Drew Lock, with everybody's eyes on their man, not in the backfield, because they're playing man coverage here, just makes it a little too easy for him to scramble. He had this one. He had another long one later in the game. It's just something that occurred in this week that, a lot of people I saw saying, hey, they got to spy him. It's like, it's tough to change the game plan for that. DJ, you played a lot of quarterbacks probably that weren't known as excellent runners. You played against a guy like Peyton Manning. You played against, other guys like that weren't known as more mobile quarterbacks. In situations like this, do you just say, hey, we're not really paying attention? Or, you just kind of say, that scramble's probably not going to happen. And you ignore it a little more than you would saying, another quarterback that has the capability to scramble.
Well, I think this young quarterback does have the opportunity, the ability to scramble. He's not a crazy runner, but I mean, he can get up and get first downs, and you got to watch that. But rush lanes right here, big time. It's all about rush lanes. I think everybody in the back end played it perfect. Pass off the mesh routes. They had the double cross basic. I think that's what the play was. But as a defensive line, you got to know, hey, let's not rush behind the quarterback. Let's stay on our feet and just 91. Now they got too far over to the left. Yeah. If he stays to the right, you keep that quarterback in the pocket, and hopefully it'll be a great play.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know a ton about coverage, but as a defensive lineman, man coverage in the red zone, you got to play your rush lanes. You have to, regardless of who the quarterback is. Everybody's backs are turned, so it's up to us up front to make sure that there's no lanes to escape from. If you look at the young kid, 98 here, if he would just loop around right there, the second I saw a guy get displaced into my rush lane, I would try to replace. Right, so as soon as I see 91 here, boop, I'm looping right into that opposite end. So he switches with me, I switch with him, and that's something he'll see and pick up.
Yeah, young kid there, but that's got him a little bit. But let's move on to some positives. Chiefs are playing Pittsburgh this weekend. Pittsburgh media has had a lot to say about a guy that the Chiefs traded for, Melvin Ingram, and he moved to the Chiefs. He has helped kind of revolutionize this defense off the edge here. And he had an absolute, just a heater of a game on Sunday. It wasn't just the big explosive play. You're going to see him here just absolutely coming in, rocking a guard off the edge, along with Jaron Reed making it a hell of a play as the nose here. But he has just been an excellent run defender since he showed up with the Chiefs. In his mentality, his physicality, everything like that, there's so much that's made up of sacks and, quantifiable stats and everything like that. But the way that he's helped everything kind of work up front is great. And this is just kind of a microcosm of his physicality an ability to affect the run game without really posting a stat that somebody's going to look at on the box score and say, oh, that guy's making a massive impact.
How big is he now? What is he, 250?
I think he's like 250, 260, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, you see he's getting into it with a big guard there, and he's doing great. I mean, this is picture perfect for what I've been talking about with that jam stepping inside and then redirecting and getting upfield right away. I mean, you see, watch, he jams inside that, boom, that's that step, and now he's up the field, getting penetration, knocking his guy back, and there's just nowhere to go. I mean, that's really good play, and considering he's 250 coming down mano a mano on a guard.
Yeah. Melvin, great job. I mean, this is how he knows how to set the edge from the 5 or 6 technique. Now he's setting the edge from a 3 technique. I think is really great. That's if you get enough guys to set the edge on the outside or set the edge at the 3 technique. I mean, it just shrinks everything down for offense. They can't stretch you when you get stretched and get people on different levels. It's just hard for us inside guys, and this is I don't have to make a tackle right here. This is I'm just looking back saying, yeah, I'm cheerleading now. I'm popping them on the butt. Good job, guys.
Yeah. And shout out to L'Jarius Sneed. We've highlighted him several times, taking on a guard off the edge or a tackle off the edge there. Just willingness in the run game is massive here. So once again, we're going to see Melvin Ingram, this time off the right side here. This is going to be eerily similar to a play that he makes a little bit later. And his ability to split and dip underneath, just knifing into the backfield so quickly. Lateral movement, winning in a phone booth against a blocker, it's been immense. And he keeps doing it time and time again in the run game, just knifing into the backfield, making a play. This is, again, an impact player that we're seeing here. Yet again, another good job here by 90 on the interior, swimming, dipping underneath and getting across the face of the guard. But just awesome job by the defensive line. As DJ was saying here, linebackers don't even really have to do anything on this play. They just kind of get to sit back and watch the good stuff happen in front of them.
Melvin has a knack for slipping blocks and kind of you see 77 put his hands on him. He kind of throws his hands up a little bit just to get by him a little bit and get upfield. He's a smart veteran player that's just he's kind of got a fire about him that I like, kind of that nastiness. A guy that's not crazy big, but I like his play, man. I like his play. Almost kind of reminds me of Justin Houston at times when I see him. But just a strong guy that can handle linemen. You need guys, defensive ends and outside backers like that can handle linemen, and it just makes the game much funner and easier.
Yeah. No. This happened by accident, but this is why I always like to stem the front. So you can see they get lined up late, and what that does is it throws off the offensive line. I mean, the offensive line. So if you go all the way back, Craig, you can see, like, look, they're moving around at the last second, and this is hard to diagnose as an offensive line. And then all of a sudden, boom, that's snapped, and now they're trying. And now not only are they lining up late, but they're also stepping. So it's like you have a lot going on that this offensive line has to adjust to very quickly. And so this is why I always like to stem the front. I would always try to get, hey, let's line up an odd and then move to even at the last second, or line up an even and move to odd, just because it changes blocking schemes. If you do it at the last second, you could really jack everybody up. And I think that's what happened here. I mean, 77 and 79 let everybody, go right through.
Absolutely. You got Jaron Reed and Melvin Ingram that are free to the running back here because of that. So that's an awesome point. All right. Now we're going to see the play that kind of helped shift everything for the Chiefs. And this is late in the red zone. You're going to see, that once again, 13 personnel here, 2 tight ends to that side. I think this is a little bit of a mix-up. You end up with the inside tight end kind of blocking down on Willie Gay while the tackle also blocks Willie Gay as well. That gets Melvin Ingram free. He slips through as the other tight end tries to climb to Darren Sorensen. And then, of course, Nick Bolton coming off the other edge, picks this up. Dan Sorensen does a good job getting in front on the return lane, and Charvarius Ward getting in front of Drew Lock as well. But this is made by Melvin Ingram slipping and dipping between this. Just like you said, a heady play, a veteran play, explosion into the backfield. And man, Melvin Gordon felt this play. He certainly felt this hit. That's just a killer hit by Melvin Ingram. Ended up changing the game in the Chiefs' favor by making this play.
Yeah, Melvin just at the end of the day, he's got a line. He's got a line, and he knows where he's going. And it doesn't matter if y'all mess up, you're gonna get your running back hurt, which they just did. But I tell you what, man, he's not waiting for somebody to get to block him. That's what I love about it. He knows exactly where he's aiming, and he's gonna come off that tight end's hip right there. And if the hole is too big or they don't get close enough together, he's gonna slip right through. This is great job out of a veteran. You know, I've seen a lot of guys in this position where coach is like, go, and they're thinking like, well, nobody's blocking me, coach. It's like, hey, just go and we'll figure it out from then. And this is a great job right here. Yeah,
this reminds me of, remember that clip from Jadeveon Clowney when he was in college and he jammed inside and just hit a guy right as soon as he got the hand. I mean, this is what that looked like. You know, I mean, just a fantastic play. And like DJ said, that it's hard to diagnose that. It's easy to say, hey, just go 100 miles an hour at the point. You're like, wait, well, is he going to hold it? Or, what's going on here? Why didn't I get blocked? There was no thinking here. I mean, he just scud missile right to the point, and boom. And that, this became a W because of that. So awesome play.
Yeah. And it helps having Nick Bolton screaming off the other end unblocked as well. Able to just kind of pin your ears back and know that you've got help if the running back tries to cut back. Ended up being the game-changing play, and the one that helped the Chiefs defense kind of close things out, get the 2 seed, which is what the Chiefs have going into the playoffs here. Guys, it's playoff time. This is when it counts. Win and go home. Like, as players, is this palpable? Like, is this the week that, like, especially coming off the end of the season there where you're kind of playing for some stuff that it does matter. Seeding does matter, but, the games don't feel maybe as big. Is this it? Is this like the week that you live for as a football player, man, going to the playoffs here?
Yeah, at the beginning of the year, Mike, at the beginning of the year, you want to win your division and then get to the postseason activities at the end of the day. And for them to be in this position, probably the best number 2 seed ever. Yeah. I mean, this is, they should be one. But for them to hopefully have home field advantage until, the AFC Championship, this is pretty cool. And, man, I'm excited about them. Defensively, I want to see them running around, finish what they started. And for the last couple months, other than one game, they've been kicking people's tail.
Yeah, no doubt. This certainly is. I mean, this is, one thing I always loved about the playoffs was it starts over. Everything starts over. Whatever happened during the regular season is done now. And you're focused on this, the 4 games in front of you that you got to get that trophy. This is what DJ was saying. This is what we play for all year. And now everything restarts, but it's amplified by 100. And it's so you can, I mean, it is palpable. You go into that facility and there's a different electricity. There's a different energy in the air. And it's not just at the facility. It's in the practice field. It's at the hotel the night before the game.
More media people around, a lot of stuff.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Well, like you guys said, regular season, it resets and all that, but we're hoping for a similar performance that the Chiefs had against the Steelers, especially on defense a couple weeks ago. We will be back next week to break down the Chiefs' opening round playoff game. I thank Mike, I thank DJ for coming and hanging out, breaking down the defense. Once again, it's playoff time, baby. So time to go. We'll catch you later.